Years is a 1944 comedy drama starring Jean Arthur, Lee Bowman, and Charles Coburn, and was directed by Irving Cummings. It focuses on a young woman, Janie Anderson, who had hastily married a serviceman before he was shipped off to war, roughly a year and a half ago. Upon being reunited, the two realize they hardly know each other and seem to have nothing in common. Desperate to get a divorce, a judge orders them to first reenact their 4-day courtship to see if there's any way of salvaging the marriage. This film had a really interesting concept, and it's made even more so by the fact that it was released before World War II had even ended. It seems to me that the filmmakers were using this movie as a warning for the many couples out there that had quickly gotten married in the heat of the moment without any thoughts to what will happen later when the husband returns home, to a home he never really knew. I'm guessing this was probably already starting to be an issue by 1944, but would only increase once the war ended and everyone came home. Taking that premise and crafting a comedy around it felt unique to me, although that idea of using a problem that only cropped up because of the war did remind me of It Happened on Fifth Avenue, a Christmas-themed comedy from 1947. In that one, the issue was the housing crisis, with all these new young families having trouble finding homes after the war ended. As I said at the start, Jean Arthur is the star of the movie, and this was actually her third from last film, and the final movie that she had to make as part of her Columbia Pictures contract. I really enjoy Jean Arthur in so many movies. I think she was just made for screwball comedies, and Frank Capra movies in particular, and she gave a really good performance in this one. It is something of a drama as well as a comedy, so we get to see both sides of her as an actress. The comedic scenes she can do so effortlessly, but it's during the more dramatic moments that I really thought she was especially committed. Her emotional breakdown during the scene where she and her husband first decide to get a divorce is very affecting, and she sold that moment completely. The first act of the movie is definitely the most serious, as it's mostly flashbacks. The movie opens with the couple in court, and her father, who I'll get to in a minute, begins explaining to the judge how they got to this point. From that point on, we're exploring what their relationship looked like from the moment they laid eyes on each other for the first time since he went off to war. And the he I'm talking about is played by Lee Bowman, an actor I'm not really familiar with, but he was also very good in the movie. While watching it though, I was trying to compare how this movie would have played had the husband been played by a more famous actor like Gary Cooper or Joel McCrea, two of Jean Arthur's other co-stars from the past, and I kind of liked that it wasn't. When you have a bigger star like that, you go into it with a certain impression or a built-in likability. And with Jean Arthur, you have that. So I found myself really keeping the husband under more scrutiny, wondering if I was judging him as the one at fault. But the movie plays it really carefully, where he is shown to be initially putting more effort into the marriage than she is, and her having trouble fitting him into a life and routine that she's established on her own. So he establishes the character as a good guy, but feeling left out and a bit jealous. One thing I forgot to mention is that they have had a child who he's never met. She's living there with their son and her father, and also a young man renting a room to help out with their expenses. So he comes home to basically a full house and feels completely out of the loop. After setting all of that up, the movie does get to them snapping and deciding the marriage is beyond repair really quickly. I get it, you want to get to the rest of the plot, but it did feel very abrupt and sudden. And now we get to her father, played by Charles Coburn. I think he is one of the most entertaining character actors from the 30s and 40s. In particular, his performance in Bachelor Mother with Ginger Rogers is just brilliant. He was actually reunited with Jean Arthur here after The More the Merrier and The Devil and Miss Jones, both of which are excellent comedies. So, how is he in this movie? Great, as usual. I think he gave a lively, fun performance, always with a twinkle in his eye. Early on in the flashbacks, there is a scene where the three of them are driving home after they first pick up Lee Bowman, and Charles Coburn steals the entire scene. It's a very awkward, forced scene, as the two men have never met, and he is hilarious in it. That scene, though, is an example of something the whole movie portrays really well, and that is that these two people are basically strangers. They knew each other for 4 days and then spent the next year and a half apart. So you can see them trying to reconnect in a way that they feel they should be able to, but they don't know how. And the film balances that idea between going for the laughs that it can generate and also keeping it in our minds that it's pretty strange and sad for them. These people probably went into it thinking that they might not even see each other again. And then to be confronted with the rest of their lives ahead of them, it's all a great unknown, and it's played really well by both actors. Also on the cast is Edgar Buchanan as the judge they were put before for their divorce hearing. He's relatively young in this movie, but he always had that same voice, whether it was 1944 or when he was on Petticoat Junction years later. He's a fun guy to see pop up, and he gets to play a couple of scenes with Charles Coburn, so that was a nice pairing. Harry Davenport and Jane Darwell play the minister who married the couple and his wife, respectively. Jean Arthur and Lee Bowman visit them as part of their 4-day reenactment, and that was also a really nice, sweet scene. It comes at a point where they have decided that they're completely tired of going through all this again, and then they're presented with a couple that have been married so long, and they have grown old together. And seeing that makes them feel horrible, basically, at the point they're at and the situation they found themselves in. The movie as a whole is sort of a defense of and plea in favor of marriages and the importance of staying together. And this scene is a major part of that. I really appreciated that message, and it is as applicable now as it was then. No matter what the time period, realizing what you have and fighting for and working towards saving it is always important. But it's not all serious message type stuff. A big part of the humor comes from the two of them just dutifully going to all the same places they were when they had their whirlwind romance. But they treat each other with complete indifference, and they never explain to anyone what they're up to. So whether it's sitting beside each other at a lunch counter or checking in at a hotel, the staff that are serving them are left completely bewildered by the couple in front of them. Obviously, this would present opportunities for lots of funny situations, and the movie takes full advantage of those. The Impatient Years is a little scene movie that was a really good watch, and if you get the chance, I'd recommend checking it out. My one complaint, if I had one, is that there isn't nearly enough Charles Coburn in it. He drops out of the movie for rather lengthy sections, which I thought was too bad, but maybe that's just me. For physical media, I believe it's only been released in North America as part of the TCM Jean Arthur Comedy Collection. So if you're a fan of hers, you get a few more rare films to check out as well. Thanks for watching my review. If you liked it, please consider visiting my channel, Hildebrand Productions. Thanks again, and adios for now.